Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mangg. Welcome back to Hanging with Mangg, where I'm playing a 4x3 game in a 21x9 window because I don't want to change it and I'm a lazy bastard. I'll also not be using the game audio because I'll be fast forwarding and the sound is annoying. So there you go. The game we're playing is Dragon Quest III on the Super Nintendo. I have a Let's Play of this partially recorded, like 3 videos. And I think I still have the save file if I were inclined to use it and continue from it. But I decided to start fresh and bring myself back to that point. Just sort of refresh my memory. Because it's been a while. The reason that I am jumping back into Dragon Quest is because this is going to be the series that follows Metroid. And yesterday I finished the Metroid playthrough series by finishing Metroid Other M. So that's all wrapped up with. So on and so forth. Yeah, so speaking of Metroid on this channel, just finished uploading Metroid Prime yesterday, I believe. Which means that Metroid Fusion will begin this week. Not an incredibly lengthy Let's Play, of course, but a Let's Play nonetheless of a good game. Also, we had, I guess, the end of Baldur's Gate 2 Enhanced Edition. And the start of Noita. Noita is a very interesting game and therefore a very interesting Let's Play. We'll see how that all ends up going. As for other game releases, nothing especially exciting. There's a few more like early access games that I might consider, but I don't know. I don't know if they'd make for Let's Plays, and I don't want to do early access. Usually, it's just not a great way of doing Let's Plays. I mean, if I was just like a variety channel that just tried out games and stuff, sure. But I am what I am. Speaking of variety, though, you know, I'm a big fan of James and Mike Mondays over on Cinemassacre. James Rolfe and Mike Matei, every Monday they play through some games. I actually liked the series overall more than Angry Video Game Nerd at this point, which I wouldn't have thought, but over time, Angry Video Game Nerd, I mean, especially the new stuff, I really have little interest in. The old stuff I rarely rewatch. Maybe like his like first couple seasons or something. You know, the first like 30 episodes. But yeah, it sort of fell off for me. But I like James and Mike Mondays. Good format. They got good chemistry. It's usually entertaining. Not always a big hit. Sometimes they, like when they went through their like challenges phase, like I don't really want to see them try and beat Castlevania without killing anything. I mean, if it was a task, maybe, but that's about it. But I like the series. And so I was like, I'd kind of like to do that. I'd like to play some retro games and stuff with someone else commenting. It's always just me. It's always just me sitting here by myself in front of a microphone, talking to myself. It would be cool sometimes to have someone else there to bounce things off of. And so right now, where I'm living, my brother lives down the street from me, like literally like a block away. And so due to his proximity, I thought it might be interesting and easy enough for him to pop over sometime and for us to do like a two brothers play type of little series. We both, early in life, we both had very similar gaming origins. He's 5 years older than me, so I think he spent some time with the NES, but not really. And then when we got an SNES, it was like his first major console. It was my first major console, really. And so, it was all about the SNES for us. Both of us. That's where we had our gaming origins. And we had a PC. We got our first computer in 1996. So I was about 6 years old. There wasn't like a whole lot of things on PC at that time that really like interested a 6-year-old. So even after getting a computer, it was like, yeah, Diablo was really cool, but SNES, that's where it's at. And then the N64 came out. We got that, of course. And I wasn't overly enamored with the N64, especially in hindsight. But we then got, a little later, we got a PS1. That was our jam, because both my brother and I are very big into role-playing games. That's what we were all about. So the PS1, that's where all the RPGs were. Which is obvious, looking back, but back in the day, it was just like, oh, SNES, look at how many RPGs, we had Chrono Trigger, the Final Fantasies, Breath of Fire, Lufia. I mean, there was just a slew of just amazing RPGs. It was like, oh, well, Nintendo, they've got it all down. Of course, N64 is going to have some kick-ass RPGs. And so we got Quest 64 and hated ourselves. We were led astray. Nintendo really, they duped us, is what they did. And it's like, yeah, we had Ocarina of Time, but the Skulltulas really freaked me out, so I don't think I ever got that far. But then, yeah, we got the PlayStation. It's like, holy shit, this is where Final Fantasy went. Look at Final Fantasy 7. Oh my god! And there was just a slew of awesome RPGs on PlayStation 1. Legend of Legaia, and Wild Arms. Of course, Final Fantasy 7 and 9. Not so much 8, but oh well. But then after that, around 2001, 2002, we went our separate ways. I was still very much ingrained into consoles for, well, forever at that point. But my brother picked up an MMORPG. He was given it as a gift, I believe, for Christmas, called Dark Age of Camelot. Oh, Legend of Mana. Yes, that's another incredible PlayStation 1 RPG. Well, I actually remember renting that game from like Blockbuster, playing the ever fuck out of it, and we had to like go return it. You know, like the week had gone by or whatever. We had to return it. My dad's like, "Come on, we gotta go now. We gotta take it. Come on." And I'm like, right at the end, I'm like, "No, I gotta beat it." And so you had to just stand there and watch as I finished Legend of Mana, and it was great. I beat it and I returned it, and eventually I owned it. But yeah. So yeah, he got into Dark Age of Camelot, and he became obsessed. Played it for years and years. And I played it for some time. I think I might have gotten to max level with one character, but I was not that enamored. And then some years later, I got into World of Warcraft. I played that more. But he didn't get into that because he was still all about Dark Age of Camelot. And then eventually he got into Guild Wars 2. And I played Guild Wars 2 as well. I got to max level. You know, I treated it like a single-player game. And he still plays Guild Wars 2 to this day, almost every day. So, starting with Dark Age of Camelot, like 18 years ago or something like that, he's really almost exclusively been about MMOs, which is astonishing. But, you know, he grew up with ADHD. And he was really able to, like, zero in and focus on video games and just become, like, extremely, like, single-minded when playing games. And so I think MMOs just let him have, like, just... He never had to worry about learning other things and, you know, dealing with the... like difficulty in video game, you know, he just abandoned all that and it was just all about MMOs. Occasionally, I mean, he's not exclusively. Occasionally he will play other video games. He's very frugal, so he doesn't buy many, but like he played a Plague Tale. He's the one that actually recommended it to me. He beat a Plague Tale and he really enjoyed it. Occasionally he'll play through games. If they're on PC and really enjoy it. He has a PS4. I don't know if he's ever played a game on it. I gave him Last of Us Remastered, but, you know. But anyways, the point was that for a while, when we were both youngins, we were on the same path of gaming. We played the same games, you know, He would play Final Fantasy VI for hours, and then when he was done, I would pick it up and play my own save, and, you know, things like that. So, since we have that similar background, I thought it might be interesting to do some like a series or try a series where we sit together on camera and play through some old school games. They wouldn't all have to be like co-op or anything. You know, James and Mike, they don't usually do co-op games. And sure, at some point, I'd love to have him play through like Dark Souls while I assist him. But yeah, so I asked him about it. He said he's up for it. So there'll probably be at least one video for Two Brothers Play. This would be edited. This goes against my normal process, but I would actually edit it to really copy James and Mike. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I think maybe the first game we'd play would be like Joe and Mac 2 on the SNES, because we owned that game as a kid. We had played it co-op sometimes. We never beat it, so it might be cool to go back and try and beat it. So yeah, that's all that. Moving on then. Over on the Exploring series, I uploaded a video. Give me a moment. 4001, I believe it was. Alexandria Eternal. And the views for that were pretty solid. Can't complain. Can't complain at all. Very nice. In fact, the degree to which I can't complain, my revenue, so not, I didn't really look at like view counts or anything like that, but strictly speaking of revenue, for the month of January, it was actually higher than the month of November for me, which is insane. I would have never thought. I mean, that was true of last year as well, but last year it was a big bump because the SCP stuff really hit it off, and so that was like, okay, that makes some sense. We're doing way more views than ever. My views were not that different, if at all, between November and January, and yet for some reason I made more revenue. And it's especially surprising because in the months leading up to Christmas, that's when all the ad rates are at their peak. All the advertisers are out in full force, and people on YouTube and stuff, that's when they make their big bucks. Not necessarily because more ads are being served, but just the ad rates, the amount you get paid per 1,000 views is at its highest. This then drops drastically in January, February, and then it slowly builds up. This is how it has been in the past, and this is typically the norm, is that from December to January, your ad rates will get cut in like half, or maybe even more. That's usually the norm. And so it is what it is. You can't really do anything about it. Typically this is why creators will really pummel stuff out in those months leading up to Christmas. And then afterwards, it's not as pressing. If I was going to really take like a sustained vacation, if I was ever to take a vacation and actually not even release a video, this would never happen. But if I were to do so, it would be in January, because it's the least impactful. But this January and this February, my ad rates now are already like almost back up to what they were in November and December. I can't explain it. But I can't complain. it's a pretty crazy career. And this week, oh, I also released a video on demons and devils in Dungeons and Dragons, which I think of my D&D videos in the first like few days, it performed the best, which is pretty good. And so the next video will probably be on the drow, depending on that musician. If he gets back to me, great, I'll do the drow video. If not, I might do something else just to give him a little bit more time. If after that he still hasn't gotten back to me, then I don't know. He did not give me a timetable whatsoever. And yeah, it would be a bummer if I made the drow video and then he's like, hey, here's the music. And it's like, sorry, man. I mean, I'm sure I could use it elsewhere, but yeah. Then this week I worked on the Three Moons Initiative, the organization operating out of the afterlife of Corbinic for the protection of humanity. And they turn out to be a pretty shady group, actually, if you look beyond what is on the tin. So I actually liked the video quite a bit. I think it was a pretty solid video. It should be good. Should be good. I think the next video is related to sarcasm. And then the SCP-5000 contest finished. It's over. Meaning that I can now make a video on SCP-5000, which is... I would like to do it sooner than later. It'll probably be pretty relevant. Which is always good. And then there's a slew of other 5,000 videos now from the contest that I can make videos on. So SCP's not going anywhere anytime soon. And I know that doesn't make everyone happy, but to be perfectly honest, it makes my bank account quite happy. And it's not like I'm just doing it for the money. I'm still interested in SCP, and to be perfectly honest, SCP content is fairly easy to make. You know, I don't have to learn a whole new universe. I'm pretty well acquainted with it at this point. And especially, I rarely have to worry about pronunciation. Thinking back to the nightmare of doing the Middle-earth series and having every single name I say being criticized, it's just exhausting. I mean, at this point, I, of course, have filters in place. If anyone ever uses the word pronunciation or pronounce, it's automatically blocked, but that usually doesn't get triggered that much nowadays. Yeah, so I mean, you know, am I really going to be doing a weekly SCP video every week a year from now? I don't know. I am going to run out of both lengthy SCP articles that are good and like groups of interest to talk about. There will be a point where it trickles down. It's not anytime quite soon, but it will happen, I'm sure. unless SCP continues to just explode in popularity. But I'm sure it'll happen. So at some point, SCP will become a side series, and I'm not quite sure what that will do to my channel. I guess we'll just play it by ear. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to really, like I said, I don't want to be an SCP channel. That's not what I am. Which sort of divorces me somewhat from being part of the SCP community. And that's just how it is with my channel, you know. When people talk about different like franchises and series and they mention like lore videos to watch, you know, you talk about like Middle Earth lore videos. My name will probably not come up because I'm not a Lord of the Rings lore channel. You know, Elder Scrolls, my name will probably not come up. Although I did see someone was talking about Elder Scrolls lore videos, and they mentioned a channel. I think her name is Lady of Scrolls. So I went to her channel. She has like an introduction video. I was watching it. She's talked about it. And she talked about other Elder Scrolls lore channels. And, you know, there's the big one, Fudge Muppet and blah, blah, blah. And then she's like, and the Elder Scrolls did some videos on it. It's like, oh, that's very sweet. I get a mention. Very surreal to just be watching this random video and have your channel be mentioned. That's nice. It's just a thing, though. It's like I've never been that interested in any one thing to that degree, where I could just make content for it and dedicate my channel to it and my career to it for years and years. And it's like, yeah, SCP, I really like. It's been going on for a while. If it came to it, I could dedicate a channel to it. I mean, even now, I'm doing a side series just because I like to mix it up. But, yeah, if it came to it and it was possible, I guess I could do SCP videos for a decade. Partly because of money. But, you know, I'm not like a fanboy about anything, really. And so, you know, you have these other SCP channels that are, they are in it for SCP. They are all about it. They love it. They're part of the community. You know, they interact with different members of the community, and they're really like, they're vocal part of it. And I just, nah. I feel like I'm just sort of divorced from that. It's not like I dislike the community or anything like that, but I wouldn't be a part of any community. I just make some videos, man. That's it. And it's sort of funny because I honestly believe, I don't really have much to doubt it. I honestly believe that I am the highest earning individual in the SCP community. As far as like regularly making videos about SCP. Part of that is due to me being American. I don't know how many realize that, but Americans make far more money on YouTube and Twitch than non-Americans. Like, comparing, like, similar view counts and stuff. That's just the way it is. Like, I don't really want to divulge like personal details about the Volgan or anything, but he had a chat with me where he said that his goal is to save up and buy a house. He is neck and neck for me, pretty much, in like view counts and subscriber counts and stuff. Like, we have very similar numbers. And the idea that he has to save up, he can't afford to buy a house where he's living in Ireland. That's pretty wild, man. I mean, I'm not a millionaire or anything, but I was able to afford this condo pretty comfortably. And he was surprised by that. So, yeah. I mean, I like SCP. I'm going to keep making videos about it. But there's always more stuff. There's always other stuff that I'm interested in. Anyways, moving on. Let's talk about Roll Mangg. There was no family RPG this week. It was just the same old crew, which is getting rough. I mean, Mert left the session due to his kids at like 8:45, which means he was there for like an hour and a half. And then, you know, we keep playing, of course, but Ziggy doesn't want to do that much without Mert there, because, you know, we don't have that many players, and Mert does come every week. But that just means he cuts the session short, and it's already a short session. I feel we used to go for like 6 hours back in the day before I started like streaming it and stuff. When I was just recapping stuff, we used to go for like 6 hours. We'd have dinner in there. It would be like a Saturday event every week or something. You know, it was great. Now we play on Mondays. We get 3 hours if we're lucky. And it's just like, you know, Mert stays for half of that. Because back in the day, you know, he didn't really have obligations. None of us really had obligations. I still don't really have obligations, but that's just me. So it's a little rough. It's a little rough. But, you know, that's a common tale for RPG groups. It's tough to get together, and it's tough to get together for long periods. I mean, some people do like a 6-hour session every month. They set aside one day a month, and that's it. That would be really rough, because I feel like every time you sat down, you'd forget everything that's going on. So I'm at least glad we try to do it every week. I think that's good. And yeah, I wish everyone was single and had a YouTube channel and just was able to play for 8 hours once a week, but it is what it is. Anyways, we're in the process of killing a vampire. We had gathered a bunch of priests. We had consecrated the castle, and that sent the vampire scurrying out of there. He flew out as a bat. Against all odds, our ranger was able to shoot the flying bat at night with an arrow, sending him to the ground. She shot him again as he tried to get up, and by that point, the rest of us had all charged over. Now, Mert has under his command 51 guards. Armed and armored guards that are loyal to him. I figured these 51 men would just rush over there and just curb stomp this vampire, and that would be the end of it. So at the start of the session, I'm like, well, I'm gonna hang back, because I figured, if I'm behind the 51 men, I'm not going to be able to even see the vampire to attack him. And if I'm in front of the 51 men, I'm just going to get caught in this chaos. and I'm gonna be like, this vampire is just gonna like be lashing out in a rampage, and I'm probably gonna get clipped. And like, what's the point of that? So I figured I would just hang back, and they would sort it out quickly, and that would be the end of it. But it seems that Ziggy was really craving just to have a fight, so he boiled the 51 men down to like a bonus for Mert's rolls, and that's it. And it's like, well, fuck. These 51 men are really pretty useless then. And it's, again, I mean, that's just another good example of, it's like, okay, I'm thinking like logically the logistics of having 51 combatants against one. You know, even if he's a vampire, the sheer numbers, like, you're talking about bodies and weapons just swinging. I mean, he wouldn't be able to really like breathe. I mean, yeah, he's going to kill a few of them, no doubt. But if he's able to take down 51 men, I doubt we would have much chance against him. So it's like, you know, there'd be no reason or chance of me really getting involved and making a difference among these 51 guards. I didn't count, of course, on Ziggy just boiling it down to just a numerical bonus to one character. So that sort of bothered me. I mean, I know I have a tendency to like use and abuse NPCs as part of like completing goals for our group, but still, it seemed a little egregious. I think part of his rationale was that we weren't fighting on an open field. We were fighting sort of on a bridge, which is not how it was explained at the end of the last session, where he like crashed down next to a river. I mean, he was on like the river banks, we weren't on a bridge. So I don't know. But anyways, after a few rounds, I was like, fuck it, I'll get involved. So I used my flight spell and I just flew above him and attacked him that way. And it really was a really easy fight. I think Ziggy botched a lot of rolls. We didn't have any guards die. None of us died. And it was pretty simple. We went back to the castle that was under the vampire's control. Everyone there was fine. I got back my snow globe. He gave us some treasure, which was nice. Nothing especially useful, but it was some treasure. And that was pretty much it. He agreed that he was going to send... He would lend his men to our army when the time came. So it was all set. So now we decided that we were ready to head to the north, get our airship. And so we bought like 55. We wanted 55 horses for all the king's men. But we didn't have... The city did not have 55 horses to sell. So we ended up with a mixture of 55 horses, ponies, and mules, which is not quite as good. But with that, we headed out. And of course, we weren't just heading straight to the airship. There were a few artifacts we learned about that we wanted to pick up on the way. The first was some sort of horn in the forest. Then there was like a sensor in the marshes that could summon like spectral knights to help us out. And Thomas had gotten this like note about some treasure in some ancient lost city. So we figured we might as well check that out as well. The horn was really easy. Thomas's character, as part of his religion, gained the ability to, if he's looking for an object in the area, he always knows exactly where it is, which makes finding lost artifacts really easy. So he found the horn like immediately. It was way up high in a tree. So of course I just flew up there and I grabbed it, and that was that. And the horn is capable of like subduing any beasts. But the guy who originally held the horn died to some sort of great monstrous beast. So it can't subdue everything. I feel like it could subdue anything that we could probably kill anyways. And anything that we couldn't kill, it doesn't work on. So it's not incredibly useful. We might sell it. Then we headed west out of the forest. And we came to the Great Marshes. The Great Marsh. And we're looking for this magical sensor and this lost city or whatever. This lost civilization. And Gyro's character got a map of the marsh that does pinpoint that there is a lost city. In the marsh. So that's a good destination. We probably want to go there. At the edge of the marsh, there was an inn run by this guy who I didn't trust at all at first, but he seemed to be completely harmless. He told us a few things about the marsh, not incredibly useful. Thomas's note about this lost civilization mentions the eyes of Fohill or something like that. And we have no idea what that means. Apparently in the center of the marsh, there's a couple like small lakes that are arranged in a way that could be eyes. So that might be it. This innkeeper mentions that the nearby hags that live in these huts in the marsh once offered him, as part of a trade, a vial of liquid, and they referred to that as the eyes of Fohill or something like that. He didn't know what that meant. He didn't take the trade, but they offered it. So, you know, we were debating, do we want to go through the marsh? It's going to be dangerous. Is this even worth it? We could just go around and then go to the lost city in an easier way, blah, blah, blah. But he mentioned that right between the two lakes in the middle of the marsh, there's an ancient temple dedicated to some lost god or something like that. And I was like, oh, I kind of want to go to this temple and dedicate it to Nihilus. You know, if there's going to be a temple in some ancient lost marsh, it should be dedicated to Nihilus. So I'm like, all right, it's set. We're going to go out there and head into the marsh. And that's pretty much where we ended, because Mert had already left like 45 minutes ago. Or an hour ago. So yeah, very, very little happened in that session. And that's sort of... This is the problem, right? Because in situations like... In campaigns like this, I plan like big overarching plots for us to carry out. You know, getting this airship and flying around the world and rallying these armies and then marching on Zuknul and blah, blah, blah. And it's like when you play for 3 hours at a time and you have people with different like tasks and little errands they want to carry out, and sometimes they split away, and sometimes you don't even get to play for 3 hours. It's like, it's a very lengthy process to carry out these big plots. So who knows how many sessions it'll take. We're going to keep going. It's all been pretty enjoyable, I guess, but yeah, it'll take some time. Yeah. It'll be good. I'll say. I mean, this session especially was not anything exceptionally exciting. We had the vampire battle, but it was super easy because Ziggy like never succeeded on any dice roll. But other than that, it was just like trudging across, wilderness and talking about different things, and it's like that's fine, I guess. But it'll be exciting to actually go into a dungeon in this lost city or whatever, and maybe encounter some things and encounter some traps and some like difficult situations inside of a dungeon where I can really flex some utility. That'll be pretty interesting. Yeah. I suppose that's it. Not much else to say, I suppose. So, check out the Three Moons Initiative video tomorrow. And we've got Metroid Fusion starting up this week. And some more highly entertaining Noita on the way. And at some point, presumably, you might see two brothers play Joe and Mac 2, but we'll see. No guarantees just yet. My name is Mangg. This has been Hanging with Mangg. I'll see you fine folks next week.